Welcome to A Connection is a Connection, the show where we take a break from business talk and dive into the personal side of things. Today we're sitting down with Bruce Battoe to uncover the stories, quirks, and passion that may make them tick. Let's have some fun and get to know them like never before. First, give a warm welcome to our guest, Bruce. We are here to keep it light and fun, so let's jump into some questions. Before we get started, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. So I'm Bruce. I'm a video director here in Phoenix, and it's been really great to get to know you guys. And I'm really happy for you guys that you're starting this channel.
Oh, thank you. We're so happy that you're here.
Yes.
So excited to have you.
It's a big treat, for sure.
So let's hop into some questions.
All right, Bruce, are you ready for the questions?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever been caught doing something you definitely shouldn't have been doing?
Oh my gosh, you didn't prepare me with that one. Think about that. I mean,
I think we've all been doing
well,
Yeah.
trying to think. I mean, we've all had stuff like that in our childhood, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like in your childhood.
Well, so one time, so I grew up, a lot of my childhood was in Europe.
Oh.
And in fact, from the first 10 years of my life, we moved like every year to a different place, a different country. I had to learn a new language every time we moved.
Wow.
And new friends and everything like this. And one of the countries was Germany. And this was really, embarrassing at the time, but I think I was about 6 years old, and there were these German kids who lived in the neighborhood, and maybe I was about 5. Well, I wasn't familiar with soccer. What we call soccer, they call football over there. Yeah. And so they're playing soccer in the street, and so I join in, and they were happy to have me join in, and I was so new to the game, I didn't know how to play, and so I thought the idea was just to kick the ball into the goal area, not knowing that like you have to pick a side to kick it in. And so I kicked it into the wrong side, and they were like, "What are you doing?" like you're supposed to kick into the side, for your team, right?
Yeah.
So there was that. And then I think around the same time, one of the kids dared me to throw a rock into a window.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh, I'll just do this and it won't break the window.
Oh my god.
Well, it broke the window, and it was like a big deal, and so I learned never to do that again.
Sure.
Both of those things,
For sure.
Those are lessons to learn.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. If you could give a piece of advice to someone struggling right now, what would it be?
So, I think it's important when someone's going through a struggle and maybe they're feeling anxiety or fear to always realize you're loved. You're actually never alone, no matter how lonely you might feel if you don't have help around you, because I firmly believe that we all have angels helping us, and you don't even really need to look outside yourself for that. If you really look deep within, that help is always there inside you. And to know that this will eventually pass, and just proceed forward from the heart, from a place of love.
Sure.
Proceed forward.
Yeah.
And I think if you can always remember that, then you're never really, you might still struggle, you might still feel afraid, but you're really always going to be in the best place possible to go forward.
Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful.
It is. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you could leave one lasting impression on everyone you meet, what would it be?
I want people to always feel better after interacting with me than they did before interacting with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a me thing.
Sure.
But I always, part of this is, even in my job in video production, I tell a lot of silly jokes and stuff, but that's just to get people into a happy mood so that they're feeling more comfortable and more relaxed on camera.
Yeah.
And so, this applies to a lot of things. I always want to, like in business, for example, I always want to give a little bit more extra than someone's expecting.
Okay.
You know, whether it's a, an extra part of their video production, or, some sort of a discount or a gift or something like this. That's kind of part of my philosophy, and I've never found that to be like nothing bad has ever happened.
That's
you know,
amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing bad comes from that.
Right.
It doesn't hurt anyone to be kind.
Yeah.
Right. Kindness is everything. Everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If we looked at your search history right now, what's the strangest thing we'd find?
My shirt's history?
Your search history.
Oh, my search history.
Uh-huh.
Well, strangest thing. I don't know if it's strange, but something, and this kind of applies maybe to one of the other questions that you had, is the last couple of years, I've really developed a desire to make music.
Oh, wow.
And so I've gotten into a hobby of music synthesizers,
Nice.
right? So, keyboards and that kind of thing. And so one of my favorite pastimes is watching videos about music production and some of the latest equipment and stuff. You might expect from my job too, I watch a lot of videos about the latest camera equipment and stuff like that. But
Sure.
it gets really deep, because it's an area that unless someone else is into the same thing, they're not going to really understand, how, conversation I might want to have about stuff like that. And so, anything about the history of, building oscillators and filters on a synthesizer and stuff, that might seem strange or bizarre to some people, but what it comes from actually is, kind of coming out of COVID, I really felt the need to generate my own sounds because I really believe in sound healing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm constantly watching videos about synthesizers. I actually just bought, I'm not really that into vintage gear that much, but there is a synthesizer that was made from 1982 to 1984 that I've always wanted that has a really special sound. It's called a Juno 60. And
I've
just, well, it's
Really?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
it's made by a company called Roland. And that sound is on a lot of 80s hits that you all know, like a lot of the stuff that Prince did, or, Hall & Oates and bands like that.
Yeah.
Well, just recently, just last month, I'd been waiting and looking, in the used market. Someone here locally in Phoenix put one up for sale in mint condition. It was literally in storage for 30 years.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
And I had been looking online, and you find them, they'd be listed for like a huge price, and they were always like beat up and stuff. This is in mint condition. And so I went to see the guy, I checked it out on my own, and it sounds fantastic. And so I bought it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
You'll have
so
to send
now-
us a picture.
I have a picture I can show you even on my phone now.
Yeah,
And
we'll put it in.
And it sounds amazing. And so like that's really rewarding to me, just to be able to play that and generate the sounds on that and make music on that.
That's amazing.
That was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
For sure.
Next one. What makes you happy?
So, I don't think that there's any such thing as happiness in being alone. I mean, you can be happy and be alone, but ultimately what really makes me happy is seeing other people happy, seeing other people grow, seeing other people achieve the things they want to achieve. So I try to help people, whether it's, in friendships or in my business. It's about helping people get to that next level. And an example of that is, most of my work is commercial video, but in the last, I guess about 4 or 5 years, I've also incorporated wedding videos into what I do. And why that's significant on this question is once I started doing wedding videos, something happened that I didn't really expect. And that is, I think every time that I've presented a wedding highlights video to the bride and groom, once it's done, I think every time I've done that, the bride has cried when they saw the video. And it just wasn't something that I was expecting. And that is so rewarding.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Because like in commercial work, you know, generally people like what I do when they see the video, but they don't cry.
Like you see their emotion just a little bit. This shows like the true.
Yeah, I mean, they might cry if like the price is too high or something, but like, not really, that was a joke, but really to be able to contribute that much to someone's life in that they're going to have that memory forever that they can look back on and it generates that emotion. You know, that's an example of me getting a real emotional reward on seeing someone else being happy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
That's the best.
that's the best.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Bruce, we have a question that we ask every single one of our guests. We're going to go ahead and...
What are you doing for God?
What am I doing for God? That is a fantastic question. I mean, I don't want this to sound like a cliched answer, but I really do my best to think about what God, or, you know, some people, I often refer to it as divine source. What would divine source want me to do in any particular situation, and then, you know, act accordingly from there. So, you know, some examples of that. I mean, again, it should be in everything that we do. One of the things that's kind of on a concrete level that I do outside of my work is my father, who is 89 years old now and in great health, he's in Sun City. A number of years ago, he started a little group or a little club that he calls the Solo Spouse Group. And this started through his church, and it's for widows and widowers. So in retirement communities like Sun City, there's you know, there's a lot of people who are alone because their spouse has passed away. And you know, a lot of these people just sit at home and they may not even have that many friends. So what we do is we organize social events for people who want to be involved in this. And it's simple things. It's everybody going out to dinner or going to a play or going to a movie.
That's so sweet.
It is.
And one of the main things is every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, we have a big dinner for anybody who wants to come who's part of the group. And, you know, it's not a dating group or anything. And the majority of people in it are it's probably 80% women, because the women tend to outlive the men.
Yeah.
But that's one of the ways that I try to give back, because I help out with that kind of on an administrative level and organizing things. Another is I'm really blessed to have a client that's a major HVAC company in the Valley that I've been making their videos for years. And every year we, it's not me personally, although I contribute to this, they install and replace AC units for the Arizona Humane Society. You know, to keep the dogs and cats, you know, cool in the summer. An AC unit goes out and we come in and put in a new AC unit, and that's really rewarding, you know, to be able to help the animals that way.
That's so amazing.
It is. It really is.
Wow. All right, let's hop into some more questions.
Okay.
This is a fun one. Do you snore at night?
I do not.
How do you know?
Well, I've been told that I do not. It's one of my pet peeves, being with someone, or in the past being with, you know, someone who snores. Really cool thing about that is one of my best friends from high school, he's a doctor who recently retired, and he is Dr. David McCarty. He is one of the country's top experts on sleep apnea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He wrote a book that is, and he's also happens to be a wonderful artist in his spare time. So it's a very kind of coffee table type book with cartoon type illustrations.
So cool.
Nice.
It makes learning about sleep apnea, what you can do about it, makes it fun. And I'm no expert on it. He is, but he decided, he realized in his medical career that currently the treatments for sleep apnea and the way the medical industry treats people who have this problem, it's not they don't really have great solutions for it. So he's been really helping people. He's been changing the paradigm on that. And so I've been learning a lot more about that. And after the interview, I can show you how to take a look at that book.
That's
and
so
everything.
cool. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah. So I had no idea you'd ask that question, but it is an area that's close to my heart.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Very interesting. If you could relive one day of your life, which one would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Only one.
Only one.
Say as many as you want.
You can say it.
Well, goodness. I've spent a lot of my life living overseas. And so that's led to a lot of amazing experiences. And I don't know if I can pick just one, but there,
Like top 3?
gosh,
Any of them.
Yeah. As many as you want.
Yeah.
well, people often say, the birth of their child or whatever. I don't have any children, so I would say it had to be that one day that I was interviewed by a spray tan and salon owner. I could relive that day in and day out and be super happy.
Just get interviewed every day.
Yes. Well, you guys make it really easy.
Thank you.
You guys make it really easy.
Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one. That is a good one. We love that. I'm glad we made your day. Okay. What's a life lesson you learned the hard way?
I think in general, I have absolutely wonderful parents, but I grew up, I think, being raised, particularly in American culture, being raised to be a very competitive person. And it wasn't until I moved to Japan, I was in Japan for 6 years in my 20s, that the way they are in their culture really changed my perspective. There were a lot of experiences that happened where I came to learn that, being better than other people in your field or in academics or whatever, that's not really where I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly being competitive is a good thing in the sense of always striving to be better. Mm-hmm. But I went from a mindset of being competitive to being collaborative. Because over there, one of the things I've learned is in Japanese culture, people really take care of each other in a way that I was not familiar with. Wow. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of Americans hearing this and saying, oh, well, that's obvious, But I think it kind of depends on the family you grew up in, the culture you grew up in.
Yeah.
When you get, say, a group of, 5-10 people together, even if it's just at a dinner party at someone's house, it's kind of part of their culture to where they want to make sure that every single person in the group is feeling good and not left behind. Yeah. And if someone is feeling down or something, everyone will notice and focus attention on that person to get them up to the same good vibe as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And there's even, this may sound strange to say, but they're very telepathic over there with each other. Like they can,
really?
Oh yeah,
What?
they don't even call it that because it's so second nature, but they can really sense with each other what is going on without talking. Wow. And it took me a little while to clue into that as I was learning the language and everything. But as I was kind of figuring that out, I started to realize I got to be really careful what I'm thinking.
Yeah, seriously.
Because you can't hide behind anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so that really, changed me a lot. And I don't know if that really answers your question, but having a number of experiences like that made me realize, like, okay, we always need to take care of, I don't want to say the least among us, but bring everybody up to the same level of feeling good, because you can have illumination in a divine sense, on an individual level, but enlightenment is really a group thing. It's really about everybody being in a good consciousness together.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was, I'm sure there's a million ways to learn that lesson, but that's something that I learned through Japanese culture.
That's amazing.
And when I came back to America, it was with new eyes.
Culture shock when you came back, or like?
Yeah, I mean, when I moved over there, I assumed, I'm going to learn a lot about that culture, and that happened. What I didn't anticipate is that it would put me in a mindset of really seeing my own culture that I grew up in so much differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the most individualistic culture there is on the planet, and there's pros and cons to that. We have a very strong sense of individual rights over here, and that's something that the rest of the world, can learn from. But it can also separate people.
Yeah.
And when we're unified in a good sense, that's a really good thing.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. Awesome. Well, what's a personal goal you're working toward that you've never shared publicly?
So, in general, I always want to be a better person, in whatever situation calls for it. But what comes to mind really now is something that I talked about, a few minutes ago, and this isn't something that I've ever talked about on camera, and that is the ability to generate healing music. I went into first graphic design and then computer animation and then video production, really because that's, as an artist, as someone with the soul of an artist, that's a way for me to have a career and be creative. Mm-hmm. The music thing, I don't ever expect to make any money off of that, but it is something that I really feel strongly about, that if I can generate sounds that really help people relax and feel good and be healed and have a good vibration, that's really important to me. That's a desire that I've developed that's really important to me.
That's amazing.
That's crazy, because I was just talking to a client today about that there should be more of that.
Music healing.
Yes, absolutely.
Instead of all this crazy music we have out there, it should be used for more than...
Well, and whatever people are attracted to for whatever genre they're interested in. And there's different music for different situations, like dancing and... having a good time, at a club or something like that. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, when I come home, I want to relax and just have a good vibe and, hang out with the cats. And I've noticed that, like, if the cats approve of my music, that's usually like a good, I have 2 cats, and, so far it's only been a year and a half that I've been kind of getting into this in my spare time, but I've sent some of my tracks to a few friends just to kind of test the waters and see what they think. So far, the feedback has been really good, and I can tell that it's genuine and they're not just saying, "Oh, like this is good." Because I have friends who like tell me straight up, like, "Hey, this is crap," or
good.
Yeah, which is what I want. But like so far, so good.
That's awesome. Do you sing too?
I mean, I can sing, but that's not part of the music I'm making.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
But if I found someone who wanted to sing in the music that I'm making, I'd be great, actually.
Oh, yeah. That would be so cool.
Totally down with that.
That's awesome.
Totally.
All right. If you had 24 hours to completely disappear, where would you go, and what would you do?
To completely disappear. Well, I think it would be, this is probably also going to sound like a cliched answer, but if I could be on a tropical island on a beautiful beach somewhere, with just the right people, I'd be totally down with that. And actually, I haven't done much traveling since before COVID. Mm-hmm. But that's the other type of thing that I'm also have been doing some searches on about online. I've been really interested in kind of the South Pacific, maybe the Philippines or something like that.
Wow.
You know, the Philippines has like 7,000 islands.
Whoa.
Super affordable, you know, and so I've been doing research on traveling there. And so at some point, I'm going to go there and disappear for a few months and just be on a beach and
That sounds amazing.
read some books. And
That's the thing to do.
That's what we all got.
if I can bring some friends with me or something, maybe do that too. But
So fun.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for sharing your stories and laughs with us today. Where can people find you if they want to connect or get to know a little bit more about your
sure.
business?
So the main place is they can go to my website, which is elitebusinessfilms with an S at the end, .com, elitebusinessfilms.com. All my contact info is on there. And, you know, any way that I can help someone on a personal or professional level, I'm happy to do that. And I want to really thank you guys for inviting me here today. It's really a pleasure being with such wonderful people.
Thank you so much for coming. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Like, give us your 30-second commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a video director. I own a company called Elite Business Films. And we mostly do commercial production for businesses here in the Phoenix area. You know, for their website, for social media, for YouTube. And then do some wedding videos on the side. There's a different website for that, which is eliteweddingfilms.com. And I'm happy to answer anybody's questions. I've been doing this now for at least you know, independently since 2009. So we're coming up on 15. Is that 15 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
16 years.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been growing and growing and growing, and I'm super happy with it. So, yeah, so that's me and what I do, and happy to help you guys out too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And stay tuned for the next interview.
Thank you.